Okay then guys, we'll get started. So thanks for joining me today. My name's Mauro, I'm the client manager at Social Media Search. So today we'll be looking at candidate generation management, the ultimate way to undertake direct sourcing. So today we'll be covering the challenges of recruiting in a transparent world. We'll be looking at talent branding, so using your hiring manager at the heart of the recruitment process. We'll be looking at search, so mainly X-ray, Boolean strings and Chrome extensions. We'll be looking at nurturing candidates with great content, and finally using software to monitor when candidates are ready to move. So the concept that I'll be showing you is what we use with our clients. It's tried and tested, and this is basically a method that will save you time and cost per hire, and also create a competitive advantage for you as well. So we believe that the world is more transparent than ever. So through social media, candidates are much easier to find and also much easier to contact as well. So we can find relevant candidates really quickly, where they live, where they work, their experience, personality, their pet's name, everything about these people. But as they're also much easier to contact, they're also being bombarded with information, which creates kind of candidate apathy and becoming less responsive to communication from recruiters. So in the past, candidates really had to speak to recruiters to find out much more about information about the role, when candidates can now access an abundance of information about your company. So they can read your employer website, they can have a look at social media, they can have a look at Glassdoor. So if you don't know about Glassdoor, it's basically a TripAdvisor for employers. So current and previous employees can score and leave comments on the pros and cons of actually working there. So if you don't have it, it's a good idea to get onto it. Make sure that your score is high. Get the best talent within the company to actually leave reviews and make it a good place to work. So to put it really all into context, there's an example. Say if you're looking to buy, say a holiday. Previously you would go to the travel agents, really with little or no information at all. You would look at brochures, give a brief description of what type of holiday you're looking for, and then ask for recommendations. When nowadays you can have a look online, you can have a look at TripAdvisor, you can read reviews, and you can have all the information that you need really at your fingertips to make a purchase without actually speaking to anyone. And it's really the same with candidates. So candidates educate themselves whether to apply for a role or not without even speaking to the company. So this really means that candidates reveal themselves to recruiters at a much later stage than previously, based on the research they've actually undertaken. So the result is that it becomes harder for recruiters to initiate meaningful conversations with candidates. So this is really where talent branding comes into play. So your talent brand is what people see and feel about your business as an employer when they encounter your people. So since social media, companies can no longer use employer branding as the only way to communicate what it's like to actually work there. So instead, coming from the actual talent has become the way to show the culture of a company in an authentic way. So it's much better and credible actually coming, hearing views and coming from a peer and a friend rather than the actual company itself. So with talent branding, your hiring managers are the actual superstars and the most powerful way of attracting the top talent to your business. So from a recent LinkedIn survey, it said that 94% of people are happy to connect on social media with people they don't yet know if they feel that person is useful or relevant. So candidates will be much more responsive to someone with the same technical background as them, and also someone more senior to them as well, so somewhere that they actually aspire to be at. So the recommendation is to update the hiring manager's profile and make the company a great place to work and the individual a great person to work for as well. So here's a look at my profile. I'm not going to go into too much detail. It's probably a webinar in itself, and I might do one at a later stage. But we do actually have a step-by-step guide to building the ultimate profile, which we use with our clients. So I'm happy to share that with you. Just email me at the end of the webinar, and I can send that over to you. Just to run through a few things quickly. It's unbelievable how sparse some actual profiles are. Like looking at clients and and people out there. So, make sure you've got a photo on there. It's probably a good thing to start with. The headline is also essential. This is the priority for any search on LinkedIn, and also influences Google as well. Make sure you include all keywords that people might use to find you in your job title and your description. Include previous roles, and again, use all the kind of keywords there again. Include rich media, case studies, white papers, videos, articles, images, anything really to showcase the company and again the individual as an employer of choice. So candidate generation management, it's basically the process that we use with our clients for evergreen positions, so roles that you're continuously recruiting for. Within this process, we use software called Candidate ID, and this basically monitors and scores candidates' engagement with content that we send them. This gives us an insight into which candidates are showing signs of moving companies. So like I touched on before, start by optimizing your hiring manager's social profile. Make the individual a great person to work for and the company a great place to work. Next up, find your total addressable market that you might recruit now or in future. So we don't actually go into LinkedIn and run any searches. We use Boolean strings and X-ray search, which is all done through Google. We find this produces much better targeted results than just using LinkedIn exclusively. Even with upgraded licenses, results can be limited on LinkedIn. So just a quick breakdown on this. X-ray basically looks into the certain website, say for instance LinkedIn, and the Boolean search will be is basically a kind of coding or being really specific with the requirements that you're actually looking for within that particular website. Within Boolean strings, there are 5 main elements. So there's and, or, not, brackets, and quotation marks. So this is what really makes your search specific. So as an example, quotation marks will basically search for that phrase only. So for instance, if you had mechanical engineer, usually it will search for mechanical, it will search for engineer, and it will search for mechanical engineer. Putting it within quotation marks will only look for mechanical engineer, so it makes it really specific. So, as an example, you might look for mechanical engineers or electrical engineers, and London, and these particular types of qualifications, and these particular types of companies that you're kind of targeting, not these types of qualifications that might be similar, and not including some companies that you may not want to target as well. So that will give you a really specific kind of search there. Next thing to do as well is to set up some simple Google and LinkedIn alerts as well. So this will let you know when any other candidates that match your requirements come onto the market. So you're updating constantly as well. Most recruiters will only use LinkedIn as well, but different channels are better suited dependent on the target market. So for instance, Google Plus is really good at finding people that work in SEO. Stack Exchange and GitHub are great in finding developers. And Facebook is better for retailers as well. So it also varies by country as well. For instance, Zing is just as big as LinkedIn in Germany. So really take this all into consideration when you're looking at exactly who you're trying to target as well. There's also some amazing Chrome extensions out there as well that you can use. There's one that's called Profit. So this will uncover more details about an individual, including contact details and any other social media that they're on as well. It's quite clever in kind of predicting some information as well. So for instance, if it can't find the actual email address of that individual, it might be able to find a trend with any of their colleagues that work for the same company. So for instance, firstname.surname@bt.com. So it will actually give you a prediction there as well, which is quite clever. There's also one called Duck Soup, which is a brand new one which we're using, and this drastically saves time in sourcing candidates. This exports a search into a spreadsheet rather than having to do it manually. So previously you'd have you'd do a search and it will give you a big list of people. You'd actually have to go manually, individually into each of the profiles and put them into a spreadsheet. With Duck Soup, it basically exports it all into one spreadsheet really quickly, so it drastically saves time for you. There's also another one called Discoverly. This basically combines all social media profiles of that individual all into one place. So, your LinkedIn, your Twitter, Google Plus, etc. It puts it all onto one page, so it's great at kind of cross-referencing on that individual. Next stage is connecting with them online. So your hiring manager probably won't have the time to do this themselves. So this is something that you can do on their behalf. As I said before, 94% of people are happy to connect if relevant or useful. So it's really important to come from the actual hiring manager itself. The best candidates are often not on the market. They've been promoted last year. They're being looked after. So actually coming from the hiring manager will unlock those candidates to actually connect with them. Looking at the whole addressable market, and if you actually break it down, probably 10% will be registered with job boards, 20% will be registered with recruitment agencies, 10% are probably just unmovable, and this leaves 60% of your market, which is really untapped, using other methods, which can be activated through this process. So, we can't target every single person, but the majority of people are on social media, so it's probably the best way of targeting that 60%. So once you've actually connected with them, they'll then be within that kind of within that social media community. But then you can also bring them into your other channels, into any groups that you have, but also within your ATS system as well. And that's really important. Before communicating with them as well, there's another Chrome extension that we use, which is called Crystal. And this basically builds a personality profile on candidates based on their social media information. So it shows what they're like as a person and how you should communicate with them. I actually tested this out on my girlfriend, and all that gave a lot of information. It came up with talks a lot, sometimes too much, which I found to be extremely accurate, and that's actually really true. So test it out on colleagues, it's good fun, and it's surprisingly accurate as well with all the information that it gives out. So this is a really important part of the process, inspire them with great content. So from another LinkedIn survey, it says that members who engage with your content are twice more likely to respond, which really shows how powerful content is. So you really need to build relationships with candidates even before actually needing to recruit them. So think like a publisher, generate useful, relevant content to inspire them and create goodwill with them as well. So again, content will be coming from the hiring manager. So this will build the talent brand. This will represent your business as a desirable employer, plus a thought leader as well within the industry. So candidates will be much more positive to your approaches and turn passive candidates into active candidates as well. Also tailor your content to the individual itself. So this can include something like how to get ahead in your career as a mechanical engineer, for instance, or maybe a case study on someone working on a really exciting project. So you'll probably have a lot of career content that you can probably re-engineer yourself. If you don't, then just use relevant content that's already out there. There's a lot on LinkedIn, there's a lot online. It's always better to come from your company itself. But if you don't have it, still use LinkedIn and online measures to actually use relevant content. It still works. And finally, I'd recommend actually creating a content calendar as well to make sure that you have a regular feed of content across your channels. Actually, before I move on to this stage, even after this point of inspiring them with great content, you can even introduce the vacancy at this point as well. This is really for one-off roles that you have. It's a process that we have called Exec Connections. So from the start to this point, inspire them with great content. Then you can actually, a couple of days later, a week later, go back to these candidates and say, I hope you found that content useful. Oh, by the way, I've just had a look at your profile and you really match a couple of roles that I currently have. Here's the role. What do you think of it? And this is a process that we use. We probably, using Boolean X-ray, we'll find 100 specific people with these specific requirements. Out of that 100, probably 60 will connect. And from that 20, will actually want to go forward to interview. So it's a really good conversion rate. It's very effective. But at the same time, for your kind of longer term roles, 60 have connected, only 20 have kind of come forward for interview. That leaves 40 people that either haven't responded, or where does that leave them? And that's really where this technology comes into place. That 40 people are probably also they're real kind of passive candidates, real high quality candidates that are, just being promoted, doing well elsewhere. This is where it really taps into them people. So, every employer nowadays has a real extensive candidate database, ATS system, And because candidates reveal themselves at a much later stage, talent acquisition teams need to talk to every candidate. So whether that's 1 to 1,000 or A to Z, to really determine who's interested in a move, let alone who's the actual best candidate. So this really means slow time to hire and also higher cost per hire as well. So technology can really help you understand much more about a candidate's interest in their career and also your company, and help you find them much quicker as well. So as I mentioned before, we use a piece of software that's called Candidate ID, which works with any ATS system. It's a new piece of kit. It really works. It's tried and tested. So this basically schedules out content to your ATS on a regular basis and scores candidates on how they're actually engaging with content. So, the initial content could be how to get ahead as a mechanical engineer. If the candidate opens this email, it will then give them a score. Within that text, there might be other opportunities to open more content, such as click here to download a white paper, and then from that, it can lead on to, click here to view our latest vacancies. And this can all be tracked, and we can track their journey. It's all scored. So it really gives us an insight. At a later stage, you might even send something as blatant as how to make your CV amazing. This really gives us an insight into candidates, especially if they've been clicking onto your company website to look at your jobs as well. So fuel your team with hire-ready candidates. So on Candidate ID, you can filter the candidates by current score. So you can filter, all mechanical engineers in London, and contact the top 5 candidates with the highest score. Alternatively, you can also be sent alerts as well. So once candidates actually reach a certain threshold score, this can alert you. So this really tells you when they're ready to be contacted with an introduction of a vacancy or a call. So it's a really clever piece of technology. It alerts you when candidates are showing signs of moving, sometimes even before they actually know it themselves as well. So, this leads you to being able to contact them before they reveal themselves in the market, before they have their CV out, and before they also speak to the competition. So this is a tried and tested method. It creates exceptional results for our clients, and ultimately it reduces time and cost per hire. So just a quick summary. Talent brand, optimize your hiring manager's online profile and use at the core of your recruitment process. Source candidates through all social media using X-ray search, Boolean strings and Chrome extensions. And inspire, monitor and manage your candidate pools with great content alongside Candidate ID technology. So that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you found it useful. Here are my details if you have any questions, if you want to get in contact. Like I said before, if you want the step-by-step guide for building a great LinkedIn profile, then get in contact. I can also see from the attendees of the event that there's a few companies that haven't worked with us before. If you want more information on the kind of exec connections concept for the one-off roles that usually take two to 4 weeks, get in contact. You can find out more information. I'm happy to do a presentation on this. We've also got an event in London, if anyone's around there, on the 6th of April, which will be looking at kind of talent branding and also been looking at kind of online search as well. We can have some guest speakers. Get in contact if you're available on that date. Be happy to pass on some more information. So I'll be running more webinars in future. Hopefully see you then. Thanks for joining me. Cheers. Bye.